Hello and welcome to the session on professional ethics in teaching. What are professional ethics? Professional ethics are standards or codes of conduct set by people in a specific profession. There are some moral expectations that are applied to those who work within certain specialities. The reason why there are special expectations of these people is that they are seen as having power that is not normally available to general members of the population. For example, a doctor is a professional who is allowed to do things to other humans that would not be permissible for those who did not belong to their profession. If an individual tried to cut another person open with a scalpel, it would be considered assault, but we allow a surgeon to do this. The fact then that these professionals have power that isn't normally given to everyone means that there has to be special expectations. A code of ethics is a part of the expectations of those involved in many different types of professions. People in a profession are never expected to be bad, dishonest or irresponsible. So, it is good to set out some expected behaviors in the form of professional ethics, and then professionals work together to try to uphold a good reputation. The purpose of professional ethics. Professional ethics are there to protect the rest of the population from the extra power that is given to professionals. The person working within the specialty will be expected to have superior knowledge about the subject, and this gives them an advantage over other people in this area. This means that others will be dependent on their knowledge and may make important decisions on what is advised. For example, if a legal expert offers advice to a client, then it will involve the client relying on the expert's knowledge. If there wasn't some type of professional ethics, then there would be nothing to stop the legal expert from offering misleading advice. The legal expert would also be free to talk about the client's problems to anyone who wanted to listen. Any group that wants to be considered a profession is expected to have ethics that they follow. These ethics aren't just applied to relations between a professional and the general public, but also how they should behave within the group. These rules and values are often written down in a code of conduct. They will contain such ethical expectations as honesty and respect. Let us see what the famous Henry Kravis had to say about professional ethics. If you don't have integrity, you have nothing. You can't buy accountability. You can have all the money in the world, but if you are not a moral and ethical person, you really have nothing. The effectiveness of professional ethics. There is no doubt that professional ethics are necessary to protect the general public from those who have power over their lives. If such ethics didn't exist, then there would be always the risk of people taking advantage of their position. There is some concern over the fact that professional organizations are responsible for creating their own code of conduct, and so these are often self-serving. These codes of conduct will only be appropriate to serve the profession than the general public. There can sometimes be conflicts between general ethical expectations and expectations of people within a profession. For example, it may be viewed as permissible for a doctor to withhold information from a patient if they feel that this information could harm him. The most basic elements of all professional ethics are honesty and fairness. These days, it is expected that all businesses will promote good conduct within the workplace. This is not only to protect clients from any wrongdoing, but also to ensure that a business can run smoothly and successfully. The need of professional ethics. Ethics means a code of conduct that directs an individual in dealing with others. Business ethics is a form of the skill that examines ethical moralities and honesty or ethical problems that can arise in a business environment. It deals with matters regarding morals, principles, duties, and corporate governance applicable to a company and its employees, customers, shareholders, media, suppliers, government, and dealers. Ethics are also related to the core of management practices such as human resource management, accounting, information, production, sales and marketing, intellectual property, knowledge and skill, international business and economic systems. In the corporate world, the organization's culture sets standards for shaping the difference between good or bad, right or wrong, and fair or unfair. The point being that it's possible to make profits without having to negotiate on ethics. But in the final reckoning, the ethics does matter. Finally, an ethical business and its proprietors only serve themselves, their clients, and the whole enterprise much better. Management gurus often preach on the advantage an ethical company has over their competitors. A business is successful to the extent that it provides a product or service that contributes to happiness in all of its forms. These famous words by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi are fitting description of this reality. Lately, ethical issues in business have become more complicated because of the international and diversified nature of many big corporations and because of the difficulty of economic, social, global, political, legal, and administrative regulations and peculiarities. Thus, companies have to decide whether to stick to constant ethical principles or to bend according to domestic standards and culture. In every company, the managers should remember that leading by example is the first and very important step in nurturing a culture of ethical conduct. Hence, the best way to encourage ethical behavior is by setting a good personal example. Teaching an employee ethics is not always effective. One can explain and define ethics to an adult, but understanding ethics does not necessarily result in ethical behavior. From the above details, we can see how important ethics are in business. But ethics are important not only in business, but in all the other parts of life, because it is an important base on which a civilized and cultured society is built. A business or society without ethics and scruples is only headed towards self-destruction. So, it is obvious that teaching profession demands some ethics to be part of it, as it defines the future of a generation and of a nation. Professional ethics in teaching. Teaching is a noble profession. It is service-oriented. It has the potential to have a great impact in the molding of the next generation. While a great majority of teachers carry with their heads high this noble tradition and even innovate and teach beyond the classroom setting, a teaching profession can also be riddled with corruption. We have heard of teachers who sought material or sexual favors from students and parents in exchange for a higher academic rating. Other teachers have lost the fervor to impart knowledge and are simply going through the motions of teaching for the sake of fulfilling an obligation. A teacher is constantly under the scrutiny of his students and the society at large. Therefore, Every teacher should see that there is no incompatibility between his precepts and practice. The national ideals of education, which have already been set forth and which she should seek to inculcate among students, must be her own ideals. The profession further requires that the teachers should be calm, patient, and communicative by temperament and amiable in disposition. Teachers should 1. Adhere to a responsible pattern of conduct and demeanor expected of them by the community. 2. Manage their private affairs in a manner consistent with the dignity of the profession. 3. Seek to make professional growth continuous through study and research. 4. Express free and frank opinion by participation at professional meetings, seminars, conference, etc. towards the contribution of knowledge. 5. Maintain active membership of professional organizations and strive to improve education and profession through them. 6. Perform their duties in the form of teaching, tutorial, practical and seminar work conscientiously and with dedication. 7. Cooperate and assist in carrying out functions relating to the educational responsibilities of the college and the university, such as assisting in appraising applications for admission, advising and counseling students, as well as assisting in the conduct of university and college examinations, including supervision, invigilation and evaluation. 8. Participate in extension, co-curricular and extracurricular activities, including community service. In relation to students, teachers should 1. Respect the right and dignity of the student in expressing his opinion. 2. Deal justly and impartially with students regardless of their religion, caste, political, economic, social and physical characteristics. 3. Recognize the difference in aptitude and capabilities among students and strive to meet their individual needs. 4. Encourage students to improve their attainments, develop their personalities, and at the same time contribute to community welfare. 5. Inculcate among students scientific outlook and respect for physical labor and ideals of democracy, patriotism and peace. 6. Be affectionate to the students and not behave in a vindicative manner towards and of them for any reason. 7. Pay attention to only the attainment of the student in the assessment of merit. 8. Make themselves available to the students even beyond their class hours and help and guide students without any remuneration or reward. 9. Aid students to develop an understanding of our national heritage and national goals. 10. Refrain from inciting students against other students, colleagues or administration. In relation to colleagues, teachers should 1. Treat other members of the profession in the same manner as they themselves wish to be treated. 2. Speak respectfully of other teachers and render assistance for professional betterment. 3. Refrain from lodging unsubstantiated allegations against colleagues to higher authorities. 4. Refrain from allowing considerations of caste, creed, religion, race or sex in their professional endeavor. Towards the authorities, teachers should 1. Discharge their professional responsibilities according to the existing rules and adhere to procedures and methods of the institutional bodies consistent with their profession. 2. Refrain from undertaking any other employment and commitment, including private tuitions, and coaching classes which are likely to interfere with their professional responsibilities. 3. Cooperate in the formulation of policies of the institution by accepting various offices and discharge responsibilities which such offices may demand. 4. Cooperate through their organizations in the formulation of policies of the other institutions and accept offices. 5. Cooperate with the authorities for the betterment of the institutions, keeping in view the interest and in conformity with dignity of the profession, should adhere to the conditions of contract. 6. Give and expect due notice before a change of position is made. 7. Refrain from availing themselves of leave except on unavoidable grounds and as far as practicable with prior information, keeping in view their particular responsibility for completion of academic schedule. In relation to the non-teaching staff, 1. Teachers should treat the non-teaching staff as colleagues and equal partners in a cooperative undertaking within every educational institution. 2. Teachers should help in the function of joint staff councils covering both teachers and the non-teaching staff. In relation to the parents, teachers should 1. Respect the basic responsibility of the parents for their children. 2. Seek to establish friendly and cooperative relationship with the home. 3. Help to increase the student's confidence in his own home and avoid discouraging remarks which might undermine that confidence. 4. Provide parents with information that will serve the best interest of their children and be discreet with information received from parents. 5. Keep parents informed about the progress of their children as interpreted in terms of the purposes of the school. Towards the society, teachers should 1. Recognize that education is a public service and strive to keep the public informed of the educational programs which are being provided. 2. Work to improve education in the community and strengthen the community's moral and intellectual life. 3. Be aware of social problems and take part in such activities as would be conducive to the progress of society and hence the country as a whole. 4. Perform the duties of citizenship, participate in community activities and shoulder responsibilities of public offices. 5. Refrain from taking part in or subscribing to or assisting in any way activities which tend to promote feeling of hatred or enmity among different communities, religions or linguistic groups, but actively work for national integration. The advantages and disadvantages of a code of ethics in teaching profession. So far, we have seen the importance of a code of ethics in teaching. Few professions require a strict code of ethics more than school teachers. Teachers are charged with educating and caring for the children of their community, making teachers responsible not only for preparing their students for life, but ensuring that they can learn in a safe and healthy environment. A code of ethics is absolutely vital in undertaking such a task. But when we say that it is an essential factor, we have to look at all the aspects of this, that is, if there are any disadvantages. Certainly, there is a lot of disadvantages and they are listed below. A code of ethics enables us to set out the ideals and responsibilities of the profession, exert a de facto regulatory effect protecting both teachers and students, improve the profile of the profession, motivate and inspire practitioners by attempting to define their raison d'etre, provide guidance on acceptable conduct, raise awareness and consciousness of issues in the profession, improve quality and consistency of the profession of teaching. On the other hand, there are some difficulties in establishing a specific code of conduct. While they do have the advantage of making it clear to employees exactly what is expected of them, they have a few distinct disadvantages. Most notably, the fact that they need to be both vague and specific at the same time. Subjectivity. One major problem with a code of conduct is that it needs to take subjective ideals and make them objective. Indeed, this is their entire objective point, to take away subjective judgment and replace it with a set universal series of ideals. However, subjective judgment is an important part of any profession. The ability to make decisions based on the available information and act accordingly is a professional's best quality. A code of conduct replaces that ability with a set of rules. Enforceability. A code of conduct needs to be routinely enforced in order to be effective. However, this is at odds with the point above. Professionals need autonomy in order to do their jobs, so as teachers also need autonomy. So, a code of conduct in a large organization can either render the professionals impotent or render itself impotent through vagueness. The two cannot coexist, which is a major disadvantage. Vagueness. The above 2 points lead codes of conduct in one direction. Vagueness. In order to apply to everyone, a code of conduct needs to be vague. This means that the individual rules tend to be up to personal interpretation. So, it is a catch-22. If a code of conduct is specific, it is unenforceable. If it is vague, it is enforceable, but subject to so much interpretation that it may as well not exist. Cultural relativity. The problem with enforcing a code of conduct is that it cannot be universal, as ethical values are culturally relativistic. As there is no universal code of ethics, it is impossible to form a universal code of conduct in any profession. So, a code of ethics in teaching profession also depends on the culture and nation. So, while establishing a code of ethics in teaching and any other profession, we must consider whether the so-called standards are obligatory or merely an aspiration, and also if such a code is desirable or feasible. Let us summarize the important ideas in the session. In the present unit, we have tried to explain the importance of professional ethics in teaching. As we all know, teaching is the noblest of all professions. So, definitely there should be a place for ethics and moral values. In the first module, we have attempted to find out what it is meant by professional ethics and what the purpose of professional ethics is in any profession. Later, we made it clear that why we need a specific code of ethics in any profession. In the third module, we have explained the code of ethics, particularly in the profession of teaching. There, we have gone through how a teacher should behave towards the students, colleagues, society, parents, the authorities, and the society at large. Finally, in the last module, what we have tried is to find out if there are any disadvantages of having professional ethics in teaching along with all the other advantages. We have cited some of the benefits of having a code of ethics in teaching profession and some of the disadvantages also. Now, You can try to answer the given questions here. What is meant by professional ethics? What is the purpose of professional ethics? Why we need professional ethics in teaching? What are the advantages and disadvantages of having professional ethics in teaching? For reference and further reading, you can go through the given books here. Professionalism and Ethics in Teaching by David Carr, Routledge, 1999. Professional Ethics and the Teacher Toward a General Teaching Council, Merrill Thompson, published by Trentham Books, 1997. Hope you have enjoyed the session. We will continue the session with another topic. Till then, take care.